لا إله إلا الله بها قد نادى رسل الله لا إله إلا الله بها قد نادى رسل الله.
We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us this beautiful center, of which we're celebrating inshallah tomorrow our 10th anniversary, meaning 10 years have passed, and cannot imagine how much has been done and inshallah yet to be done in this place. Thanks to Allah first, and thanks to you, those who have believed in us from the inception and supported us, not only financially with your du'as, with your good word, with your good reports, with your good comments. May Allah bless you and bless this community. And even when we leave, inshallah, it will continue. Islam is to stay here in this country, in this place. We are here to live and inshallah continue. This is not a temporary place. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us hidayah and to give our neighbors and our friends hidayah, to guide us to do what is right. My brothers and sisters, as you know, elections are coming, and it is very important for us as part of this nation, as citizens, because if we think as a minority, it's not bad, but we have also to think as citizens and partake and use our right of voting and be part of this process. You know how much difference the minorities, including the Muslim community, made in the last elections. I'm not talking politics. I'm not talking politics. I'm talking survival and existence. In the last 4 years, many new ideologies and very organized groups that are being built just on the premise and the idea of fighting those who don't look like them, those who are darker, those who have accent, those who don't look like them, as if they are the native people of this country. Nobody is native except the Native Americans or the First Nations who have been here for more than 12 or 13,000 years. All of us are immigrants. And this is why when you do not vote, you are actually voting indirectly for those people who are demanding to expel minorities or to treat minorities as second-class citizens. So after all of this, and 2 nights ago, I was on a webinar Canada-wide talking to imams, masajid, why and what we can do and why we should be part of this. Yes, we are religious organizations. We're not going to tell you who to vote for. We're not going to do any endorsement of a certain party or endorsement of a certain candidate. We don't want to do that. We don't want to be involved in politics, but we want to be involved in choosing our principles over our interests. We want to remind you, when you vote, vote for the people who stand for you. Now, Islam teaches us to stand for justice. Al-adlu asasul mulk. Government ruling stands on justice. So justice, as we say in Arabic, is the foundation of ruling. When you have no justice, ruling becomes a tool of injustice, of wrong. And how do you make sure rights are preserved, duties are fulfilled, people are protected, everyone is treated equally? Because when the people that we choose are in government, they have a lot of power to change, legislate. And if we listen to those fanatics, extremists, you see that a lot in the internet, it is haram to vote. What kind of thinking is this? What do you mean haram to vote? What do you mean haram? Or we shouldn't? That means you are voting for those you don't want them to rule you. We've seen in the last 4 years a significant change and growth of a certain ideology of hate. You saw what happened in Quebec, the shooting. When people are fed with poison, they go see in the internet that we should kill these people. A shooting that happened in Quebec and killed 6 people and injured many people. And these beautiful people, Muslim people, they were contributing in society. They were very good, successful people. Unfortunately, of course they are shaheed, no doubt. Inshallah they are in Jannah. But it's a loss. And the people who were injured, there is a brother on a wheelchair, we saw him, came last year to Muslim Fest, and his family and the Muslim community here, alhamdulillah, they raised money, private Muslim individuals helped the family and other families. They did what they could. And this is very important to remind you that sometimes this hate mongering, it's done in the hidden speeches and subliminal messages within the political messages. And if you allow that kind of ideology to grow, you allow room for hate and profiling, as you saw unfortunately in the United States. It's a debate that is ongoing. So when we vote like we did last time, and inshallah this time you will do, we are not only voting for the person we choose, we're also giving less chance for the people that we don't choose. I have no idea, and I'm not going to tell you which party, which person. You're intelligent enough to know who looks for common interest, who looks for people, who cares for minorities, who cares for refugees, who cares. That's how you, and if you don't know, ask someone in your community, in your family, who knows to enlighten you, you know. And this way you make a decision. Very critical on October 21st to go and make time. Job shouldn't be an excuse. Whatever, even they have dates before, you could vote before, so you should not miss it. It doesn't matter. Don't say, oh, my vote means nothing. If everyone says, well, my vote doesn't mean anything, that means we are a community that is helpless and doesn't contribute. Why am I saying this? In the name of standing for justice. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Ma'idah and Surah Al-Nisa, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu kunu qawwamina bil-qist shuhada'a lillah. O you who believe, stand for justice and equality and fairness and be witnesses for Allah. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu كونوا قوامين لله شهداء بالقسط. Stand for Allah and be witnesses for justice. This is very important. ولو على أنفسكم أو الوالدين أو الأقربين. Even sometimes against your close ones, even your relatives. When it's justice, you have to stand. This is way. Some say, well, democracy is not. Habibi, Winston Churchill said, and I would like to quote him, but this I'll quote him and give him credit for the wording. He said, democracy is not the ideal, but it is the best alternative we have. It's not the ideal. Nobody said democracy, because sometimes democracy brings up people who have power and are able to influence, but they're not necessarily good people. But it's the best alternative. Other than that, what you going to do? Some said, no, We only choose the Khalifa. Ya Habibi. There's a long history of 1400 years of oppression and dhulm, and sometimes in the name of Islam, in the name of the religion, people caused dhulm, injustice to one another. After Sayyidina Abu Bakr and Umar and Uthman and Ali, you know, and blood started. Unfortunately, children here, I don't want to get into that. But our history, unfortunately, power hungry people have been around all the time. But how do you guarantee that the people are represented? That the people are represented? And I would like to make you feel good. I'm not talking politics. I'm talking community development. Trust me. Because if I said go for so-and-so candidate or party, I'm taking sides. I am not, and I'm not allowed to do that. But for the first time ever in a non-Muslim country, we have more than 11 members of parliament who are Muslim. It's not in any country in Europe, anywhere that I know. Even I think India. Anybody from India? And even India, there is only one. I met Owaisi, only one parliamentarian in India. There are many MPs. Okay, but not ministers. Yeah. So, and allow him to talk, to correct me. But in Canada, we had still two federal ministers. It never happened. Immigration minister is Muslim, another, and I'm not here promoting anybody, but show you how for the first time we have people who represent the community. Nobody is perfect. But the idea, how did we get to that level? Because you voted. Whatever the party is, well, that's irrelevant. What's irrelevant is that you voted and you made a difference. And that's very important, that we should be part of it. And stop, please, stop listening for fatwas and what you read in the internet, what people 5, 6, 10,000 miles away from here tell you, might not be necessarily good for you here. Listen to the people here with you who understand your reality. And do not underestimate what you can make. Do we have racism in Canada? Yes, we do. Do we have laws that forbid it? Yes, we do. So why there is racism? Why there is discrimination? It is not the laws. It is the people who are executing those laws. How do you change those people? Maybe you can't change the laws. You can change the people. And even the laws, you can review it and change it and update it and say, you know what? This law is unfair to a certain group or certain this and that. You know that Bill 21 in Quebec, that's in Quebec. But God forbid we had a government like that in Canada that does not allow you to wear your religious symbols, including hijab. Or some Muslims like to put their tupi, their hat, or whatever. You know, imagine we had a government like the one in Quebec ruling all Canada and says, you know, Bill 21. How many of you, I just want to, for my own, how many of you heard of Bill 21? MashaAllah, I'm impressed. Almost 40%. That's good. You know, so Bill 21, people are already, I know people, especially from Algerian and Moroccan descent and Tunisian, they told me we're moving. Some of them are moving to BC, moving to Saskatchewan, moving to other places. It's sad. They say we like Quebec, we love, but we're going to move because this is not... No, I say fight. Fight, because you have to vote. Because I know my people from our back home, I'm not voting. And we say in Arabic, they're not 1 foot here and 1 foot. They're not involved in any voting, nothing. They don't even know what's going on. We're Canadian, but you have not. You need to make a difference. This is a fact. We have to be part of this. And Islam says, wherever you go, you contribute. وَلْتَكُمْ مِنْكُمْ أُمَّةٌ يَدْعُونَ إِلَى الْخَيْرِ وَيَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَيَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ. Let there be amongst you a nation that calls to all that is good. Today, in Quebec, in Calgary, in BC, in many places, they are marching. And who is marching? Children. I heard a little girl today, I almost cried. And she said, no wonder why the food makes you sick. No wonder why people cannot have children. When a child who's 16 years old speaks of the future and points towards the people, my generation and the baby boomers, the generation before us, we are generation X. Some of you are Y, some of you are Z, some of you are millennials. But the generation before us, how much they have done. You know, just look at that. If you're in construction, the insulation that was done between 1930s and 1960s, which is now shown that it affects the health. Many people in Ontario have asthma because of these things. Chemicals, yeah. And now how many rivers and oceans are polluted, as Allah says in the Quran, ظهر الفساد في البر والبحر بما كسبت أيدي الناس ليذيقهم بعض الذي عملوا لعلهم يرجعون. Corruption will spread in the land and the sea. Why? Because of what people have done with their hands. So it's not Allah that put chemicals and killed the fish in the sea. And it's not Allah who has caused all these fires. Yeah, there is fires in the forest, but most of it today is arsons and people causing fires from the farmers, neglect, and it spreads like you saw last month in Amazon. It's the facade of people. When people have no values, they don't value the hurma, the sanctity of nature, of the trees, of life, the sanctity of the place and the time, then you will produce a people who don't care and don't mind doing things. So what world do we have 10 years? There's no more fresh fish. It doesn't exist. There is no more clean meat. It does exist. The whole hormone fed, all that. There's no more nothing. It's so sad. It's so sad that our children, if things don't change, and it's very bad. Now everybody's saying we should do something. Politicians they're faced with the challenge of creating jobs. To have a job, you have to have a factory. Factory has to hire people. So jobs before nature. And tomorrow there is nothing. There will be no job because people will be dead. There's nothing. This is the reality. It is part of these things might not sound like Quran. These are part of the Quran. Quran says you call to that is good. All that is good. And you enjoy what is good and forbid what is evil. May Allah open our minds. Like I said, as I said in the beginning, if you came late, you missed what we're talking about in the khutbah today. And why Islam encourages voting and being part of society. This is part of Amr Ma'ruf and Nahy al-Munkar. This is part of the ayat we have explored in Surah Al-Ma'idah and Surah Al-Nisa of standing for justice and be witness for Allah. This is very important to be involved. Part of this society. لا ينهاكم الله عن الذين لم يقاتلوكم ولم يخرجوكم من لم يقاتلكم في الدين ويخرجوكم من دياركم أن تبروهم وتقسطوا إليهم إن الله يحب المقسطين. Allah does not forbid you from being engaged and working and cooperating and partaking in the work with the people who have not persecuted you because of your religion, and they did not expel you from your dwellings. Allah subhanahu, and He does not forbid you from being good to them and be just and partake in the justice system. اللهم ارحمنا يا رحيم واكرمنا يا كريم واغفر لنا يا غفور واسترنا يا ستار استغفرنا يا غفور. وبسنة المصطفى عليه أفضل الصلاة والتسليم استغفرنا الغفور.
عالية إن شاء الله عالية إن شاء الله عالية إن شاء الله عالية إن شاء الله عالية إن شاء الله